Hey everybody, I'm JimClassic and you are watching Geekin. And for today's video, I'm going to be basically doing a double review because these are two figures that I have been looking forward to for a very long time. The first one being the Transformers 40th Selection Lio Convoy. Now, I believe this is part of the Gen Selects line, I think. I mean, why else would Selection be there? But yeah, this is basically the mulligan figure of Transformers Legacy Lio Prime, which kind of was lackluster. This is supposed to be more accurate to how the figure's supposed to look, and he's been in pre-order hell since May of 2025. He came in recently on from Big Bad Toy Store, and he was packaged with my Transformers Age of the Primes Big Convoy. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Lio Convoy and Big Convoy in one video. I figure it's just appropriate. You know, we are kind of looking at the 30th anniversary of Beast Wars this year. I don't know if Hasbro is doing anything about it, but, you know, let's just get a jump on the 30th anniversary of Beast Wars in this video. Why the hell not? Starting with the box, as we always do, it is a plain black and white box with font. This is no different than Takara's Masterpiece figures or Gen Selects. So this is pretty much just standard stuff right here. So this box is basically how the retail toy looked. I have the original Lio Convoy. I got it at an old comic shop called Comic Lair. It's on South Broad Street in Trenton, where I would go on the weekends, and I had bought the original Lio Convoy for like, well, it was $100, but that was like 1997, 1998, around that time, and imported Japanese toys were expensive. But yeah, this is exactly what it looked like. But stuff on the sides, product shot on the back, Japanese stuff which I can't read, and again, the figure in beast mode and robot mode right there. So yeah, this is perfect. I was not expecting this. This is so cool. I can't wait to open this guy up. In fact, let's open him up now. So, this version of Lio Convoy is a premium retool of the 2023 Legacy Lio Prime, which, as I kind of mentioned before, not a big fan of the name. The deco for the beast mode is minimal. We do see some black paint here or there, mostly on the face, but we see a lot of white plastic, and there's also that premium golden paint for the lion's mane. Let's get to the details. The fur texture looks more like packed snow. This isn't fur detail at all. You do see some muscular shapes for the lion mode, but there is no flowing hair. As far as the lion head and mane are concerned, well, this is where the beast mode truly shines. You get this expressive and, yes, very anime lion face. That golden mane has a lot of angled and well-defined flowing lines. They did away with the realistic beast face, which I'm totally fine with, and I love those eyes. They're pretty much filled with determination. As a general rule of many Beast Wars beast modes, well, they tend to be bricks. However, the legs are articulated enough that you can get the lion into some walking poses, some jumping, some attack stuff. You know, that's all perfectly fine, though, you know, maybe a little bit limited. The mouth does open and close, and if you look closely at the teeth, you'll see that they are painted in this off-white kind of pearlescent color. And in the inside of the mouth, there's a little bit of pink. Of course, this is a beast mode, so you do see some robo-kibble creeping out. That's kind of inevitable for just about any beast mode. The beast mode does also have a weapons mode of sort. The original Lio Convoy did, so the Gen Selects version does as well. Kind of. So you open up the main, and there are 4 5mm ports. However, Lio Convoy only comes with 2 out of the 4 guns. And so I guess you could make up for it with a weaponizer or a fossilizer or something like that. But, you know, more on that later. Alright, let's start comparisons with the Lio Prime mold. And maybe you can tell almost right away why I think the Gen Selects toy is a mulligan. That lion head is just so sad. I could probably forgive it if the lion has more of a fierce expression, but it looks like it's just having an existential crisis at the moment, and that just doesn't work. Moving things along to the Robot Masters version of Lio Convoy. Yeah, it's a bit smaller, but, you know, it's Robot Masters from 20 years ago. That's to be expected. And that lion is a bit janky, but, you know, moving on. Of course, we have the original Lio Convoy, and he's the biggest of the bunch. Yeah, it's aged a bit, but it's still great in my opinion. We're going to start with the heels. I like to fold them out. I like to start with the legs first, because they're the easiest to do. Straighten them out. There. Alright, now, rotate the thighs, and then we rotate the ankles. Same as this. Rotate the thigh, and then rotate the ankle. Pretty much got the legs done. I'm going to rotate the front paws of the beast mode, 180 degrees, and we're going to unpeg the shoulder pieces from the little tabs, and we're going to open up the back section like so, and then the other part of the back section is going to open up like this, and open up all the various lion parts. Now, right here at the lion chest area, you see the robo kibble. We're going to fold all that down like so, and then for the lion head and butt section, it's on this one piece right here. And we are rotating it this way. It's going to lock into place there in the back. And then the back piece is going to come down like so. Well, the back is done. We're going to rotate the tail inside the butt shank piece. This part of the lion's chest, we're going to open it up like so. We see the Lio Convoy head. Rotate it out. Now, this is incredibly loose, and it has come out off of its hinge a couple of times. So it's not like that on the Lio Prime version, but it is like this on the Gen Select version. Anyway, you rotate that out, and then we're going to rotate the head, and then we're going to rotate this entire piece that way, and then put it right back into place. Make sure the head is out. Make sure the head is out. Don't argue with me, Lio Convoy. And these pieces right here kind of fold out. Make sure the head is out. See how loose that is? That's really loose. That's really bad. Fortunately, it's only a minor inconvenience because it's going to be out of the way just now. There we go. It's closed up. Get those arms kind of in place, and now we move on to the shoulder pieces. Move on to the shoulder pieces. Kind of close everything back up again. The wrists are on these hinges right here. Now, I already rotated the lion paws, so we're just gonna kind of fold them in on the shoulder, the lion shoulders, like so, just to kind of get them out of the way. And here we have Lio Convoy in robot mode. Okay, so I love this robot mode. This might be the most majestic version of a Prime-like proxy character I've ever seen. Lio Convoy is basically a robo-dude wearing a lion draped over his shoulders. I mean, it is a look. Everything is so clean, and this is where we see more of that premium paint deco with all of the robo parts. Aside from the lion's head, there isn't any new sculpting detail for the robot mode, but in all fairness to the legacy version of Lio Prime, the robot sculpting was good anyway, so there wasn't anything they had to fix. Let's start with that beautiful noggin. We have a nice ball jointed head. It can go all the way around. Can kind of look up, well, yeah, kind of look down, but that's because of the hinge of the transformation part. He does have universal joints in the shoulders, but he can only go back and forth so much because of the shoulder pauldrons. The left arm maybe a little bit more, but that's just about it. You know, it's yeah, definitely more on the left arm than on the right. Bicep swivel right here. We have a bend at the elbow, kind of a wrist tilt, but that's due to the transformation mostly. He does have a full waist rotation, universal joints at the hip, so he can't kick up, he can kick back. He does have kind of a double knee bend, but that doesn't really go too far. It's thigh swivel. We do have kind of a calf swivel, but that is, again, for the transformation. But we also have a decent, an amazing ankle pivot, an ankle breaking ankle pivot. he does kind of have a few attack modes built into the toy. So you get the lion's mane here. You open up all the panels. There we go, there we go. You get that arm out of the way for clearance, and basically it's got a spin attack. Now the original toy had a button and a gear, and it automatically spun, but you know, this is kind of like a melee attack, I guess. I've never seen the cartoon, so I don't really know how effective or useful this is, but you know, it's reflected here in the toy, which isn't too bad. Now, of course, he does have the fold out spots here for more guns and stuff. So you could put some of the weapons here in these hexagonal 5mm ports, so that, you know, gives Lio Convoy, you know, some arm cannons and stuff. As you can see here, the lion arms are just kind of dangling off of Lio Convoy's elbows. Yeah, this makes him look a little sloppy. I think I've said that already, but either way, you open up the lion's paw and then fold out the blades right here and do the same. And now Lio Convoy's got some really cool looking melee blades that definitely extend beyond his reach. And this is another big improvement compared to the Lio Prime toy, which had like really rinky-dink looking blades, and they were kind of pitiful. So these are definitely more impressive than the guns that he has, and yeah, I definitely love a good melee weapon for my Beast Wars characters. Now there is one other accessory feature. It's a feature more than it is an accessory. In the left side of Lio Convoy's pecs opens up his Energon Matrix, and fun fact about Lio Convoy, he is the first Transformer to have a built-in Matrix feature, and that's the core of it right there. It even has a little 3mm nub for blast effects, so he can, I guess, well, it's an Energon Matrix. I don't know if you light our darkest hour with an Energon Matrix, but I guess he could if you really want him to. Alright, I'm going to quickly highlight what I'm talking about with the shoulder rockets for Lio Convoy. And first off, for starters, I totally forgot to include the MP version among the comparisons, but, you know, here he is next to 40th anniversary Lio Convoy. Anyway, so the rockets here on the MP, and even the original Lio Convoy toy, the rockets are kind of, you know, at an even plane with the shoulders. They can be adjusted, of course. They can tilt up or whatever, but the way the lion's mane is engineered for the Gen Selects version, you know, the best it can do is tilt up at, like, what is this, 85 degrees or something like that, and it just, I hate the way that looks, because I think these shoulder rockets are supposed to kind of be more adjustable, give Lio Convoy a little bit more of a range. And it just, there's something that could have been done. They could have engineered the fur detail, or maybe given it a double hinge where this whole section could have just been on an even plane, much like this. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the shoulder-mounted guns, and one of my complaints. Lastly, before moving on to Big Convoy, here's Lio Convoy compared to the other robot modes. And here is Lio Convoy standing next to the original Beast Wars 2 Galvatron. Let's move on to Big Convoy here in the box. Now, this is the American packaging. We have Transformers, Age of the Primes, Maximal Big Convoy, and I'm, quite frankly, to be perfectly honest, I'm very happy they didn't go with Big Prime or something stupid like that, because I'm not gonna lie, I really hate Lio Prime. I hate that name so much. It's Lio Convoy. Anyway, enough rant. Art of the Beast Mode and Robot Mode right there. Of course, the Age of the Primes lineup. There, moving on to the side, this is a really cool box art of Big Convoy, just holding his gun and just kind of looking like the Barbarian Prime that I think he is, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about Beast Wars Neo. I just know he is the one-man army and he likes to work alone. But yeah, product shot of Robot Mode, Beast Mode, and his weapon right there, 29 steps. More than meets the eye, authentic. So we know it's the real deal. Let's open this guy up and see what he is all about. Contrast to Lio Convoy's more streamlined and, as I said earlier, kind of regal look, Big Convoy gives off more of a barbarian vibe. He's covered in head to toe with fur, horns, and he's got that sturdy and stocky build. He looks like quite the bruiser. So the paint deco isn't as premium as Lio Convoy's, but this is a retail release, not an exclusive Gen Selects version. So that's perfectly understandable. But everything is clean, everything looks good, no chipping. It's fine. The paint deco is totally fine for this guy. So to look at the finer details of Big Convoy here, first off, you have an amazing head sculpt. Now, it might not be the premium paint job as Lio Convoy, but I do like this head sculpt, especially with the horns kind of mirroring the tusks on the shoulders. It has kind of a similar vibe to the mammoth theme of Big Convoy, and I love that head sculpt. He looks mean. He looks no nonsense. He looks like a Prime or a Convoy you don't want to screw with. I also really like how on the chest you have the 4 floodlights similar to Optimus Prime's truck mode. That is a really nice touch. You see how the arms are kind of asymmetrical. I would imagine this is his regular robot arm, and this looks like a cobbled together robot arm. It has more of a skeletal look, even though it's the same sculpt. Well, the shoulder is the same sculpt as this, but the left forearm is definitely different. You see some wires there. It's not covered up. So maybe this is boy, do robots have prosthetic arms? How does that work? Maybe this is just a replacement arm. Maybe he lost his original left arm, and but either way. Some of the nice details here, I don't know what these are. These look like little mini guns here on his hips. Of course, you got the missile pods here on the shoulders. I love the pistons here on the legs. Of course, you got these big stompy feet. The back is kind of a clusterfuck, but so is the original Big Convoy. Of course, the mammoth feet just stick out. Again, keeping in tradition with the original Big Convoy. This is why I can't, hate on it. And besides, I suppose these are like boosters or jetpacks or something. I guess you can fly with them or something. I don't know. One thing I gotta say, which was a real disappointment for me, was in the original Big Convoy, the Maximal badge right here was his Spark Crystal. The Spark Crystals back in the 90s and the late 90s were the gimmick for a lot of Beast Wars characters. And Big Convoy had a Spark Crystal right there on the chest. It was a molded in Maximal symbol. I was really hoping that Hasbro would bring the Maximal Spark Crystal out of retirement, just like they did for Magmatron. I thought this was a no-brainer, and yet they didn't do it. So that was a letdown for me. I feel a little cheated. Also, I have to say, for a leader class, and especially a leader class price point, I think Big Convoy should have opening and closing hands. A lot of leader toys do these days. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them do, and I think Big Convoy should have been another character who qualified for an open and close hand design, hand feature. But again, a little bit of a letdown. These are little things that disappointed me, but overall, I still love the figure as a whole. He does have some imperfections. What can I say? Before we get to the accessories, I'm going to talk about at least some of his built-in features here. So you open up the forearm panels, and he's got these, I think they're called tonfas? Someone correct me on that. Why is this stuck all of a sudden? There we go. So you open up the fur detail on the arms, and you fold them out. They're usually easier than this, that's for sure. And, I mean, okay, these are kind of pathetic. These are kind of pathetic, but at least it gives them some kind of a melee weapon for close-range combat. You know what? Big Convoy strikes me as the type of guy who is just like, put up your dukes, let's fight this out. So maybe that's why those tonfas are so small. But, you can have him in battle poses and fighting and stuff like that. Now, the tusks are removable. They come off of the mammoth head, and they can go right here on the little 5mm ports right below the wrists. And, you know, this is kind of like a hook weapon. So I guess you could use this for slightly longer close range combat. You know, I don't really know how well a hook weapon like this would do in melee, but I mean, if anything, it probably brings his enemy closer to him so he can beat the hell out of him. That's probably the whole point of these tusks. But, you know, he does have a few more accessories, and we're going to get to them. First off, he has this little handgun. Now, it's just white plastic. It's nicely sculpted, you know, holds in the hand fine, and it has a little nub for blast effects, so he can run and gun and shoot, and, you know, it's just a little gun. Not too bad, not too shabby. But he also has these two. Well, I mean, look, in the instructions it does say that he can hold them as weapons. These are not weapons. These are hip missiles. Originally, these were hip missiles on the... Oops, I dropped it. Be careful not to lose these things. These are tiny. These are very tiny, little teeny tiny things. But these are hip missiles or leg missiles, and they peg in little 5mm ports on the legs. They'll peg in any 5mm port. See, I just dropped it again. These things are very tiny. All right, I'm just going to hold this one. I know where the other one is. I see it. But yeah, little 5mm port here, little 5mm port there. So got a couple of options to attach this thing to. And, well, lastly, we have what is called the Big Cannon. And this is Big Convoy's, you know, primary weapon, or at least this is his... This is probably what he uses as a last resort. Maybe this is a first resort weapon for him. I have no idea. But it is the mammoth head and rear section. And, you know, I don't have it fully transformed, my bad, because the little handle is right here. There we go. And unlike the original Big Convoy, this has a stand, like a scaffolding stand, which is great. Which is absolutely great, because now this adds some extra stability for the toy. The original toy did not have this, and the original toy desperately needed this, because where Big Convoy, Age of the Primes, Big Convoy here has tight joints and can pose, the original one does not pose as easily because the joints are not as tight. They're very loose and can't hold anything of this weight. So, you know, the gun looks nice. The gun looks big. This is probably my only other complaint of the toy. You see these 5mm ports here at the muzzle of the gun? Well, I mean, you can't put a blast effect in them, not easily, because the way it's shaped, no blast effect is really going to fit in there very well. This is one of those situations where Hasbro or Takara or whatever should have provided a custom blast effect for this gun, a big blast effect for this gun. I mean, again, this is a leader class toy. We're paying leader class prices. Some people are getting this guy with the tariffs. I think I got him pre-tariff. I had him pre-ordered pre-tariff. But, you know, either way, for leader class prices, I think a custom blast effect, again, much like the spark crystal in his chest, should have been a no-brainer for the design team. And why this was left out, I don't know. I guess cost. But again, we're paying leader class prices. We should get leader class results here. And for the last accessory, you can open up the chest compartment right here to reveal an Energon Matrix of his own. And it comes out. You see some nice sculpted robot detail in there. Not too bad on both sides, actually. And here we have the Matrix. It is, you know, a kind of a flat mustard gold red crystal. And he's got 5mm ports, which he can hold in both hands. These butterfly joints allow Big Convoy to hold the Matrix with both hands, which is really nice. I really like that. And the original Big Convoy could do it too, but he holds the Matrix a little bit firmer than the original one does. And fun fact about Big Convoy, he is the first Transformer to have a removable Matrix. So Beast Wars 2nd and Beast Wars Neos have two of the first leaders to have either a Matrix or a removable Matrix, which, you know, nice little bit of trivia for you there. Big Convoy here has got a lot of 5mm ports all throughout the body, so this gives you an opportunity to mod this guy out with weaponizers or fossilizers or whatever the heck you want, and just really turn this guy into a one-man army as his reputation so says. Starting with the head, we have a ball-jointed head. It can wiggle and waggle and go 360 degrees. Looks up. It doesn't really look down all that far. We have butterfly joints here in the shoulders. Now, that's not part of the transformation. That's really for the matrix holding gimmick, but it is there. Of course, you know, universal shoulders here can go out, can swivel all the way around. We have a bicep swivel, slightly more than 90 degrees at the elbow, rotating wrists right here. We have a waist swivel, like so. Of course, the missile pods are on an armature right here, can go up and down. These can rotate around, like so. A nice kick. Like, with all of this kibble right here, he can kick pretty high. And he can kick back pretty far. Again, in spite of all of this kibble he's got hanging off of him. On top of that, he has a decent knee bend. I mean, you know, again, now this is where the kibble is a drawback. It really doesn't look like he's bending or lifting his leg all that much, but, you know, he is. We have a thigh swivel right here, and we have a pretty decent ankle pivot. Yep. Of course, with these gigantic feet, I mean, you could just do whatever you want, and he'll stand. Now, I'm just going to bring out the original Big Convoy real quick as a comparison. I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, okay, this time he actually stood up. I'm not going to lie. He has not been doing that off camera the entire time, and the minute I get him on camera, he makes an idiot out of me. Anyway, I'm not complaining. I'm just, well played, original Big Convoy. Well played. You made a chump out of me. Anyway, he does stand really well. Those big, solid feet give him that advantage. Usually, when original Big Convoy is not in front of the camera. Let's get Big Convoy into beast mode. First, we're going to take the accessories off, get the pistol off there, get the gun off of here. He has actually a pretty tight grip. This took me a couple of takes, but we're going to close up the gun, fold up the handle right here, fold up the scaffolding, the stand, close this, close up the sides, close up the sides. The elephant head is going to telescope in, and that is ready. Now, transformation for this guy is not particularly complicated, but there's a few things to remember. First, take off the leg missiles. Now, what we're going to do here is, I like to start off with the hips. We're going to unfold it, rotate the legs, unfold it, rotate the legs, and just kind of get that into position, okay? We're going to fold up Big Convoy's horns, rotate the head 180 degrees, get the missile pods ready, like so. Close that up right there, put that into position. Okay, so the shoulder joints, we are going to fold back like so, and rotate the forearms so that they are not like that, like that. That's, there we go. That's how we want the forearms to be, so that the 5mm ports are facing down. Here, we can just fold up the mammoth sides. This tab is going to tab into there. So, that's, you know, he's starting to look like a mammoth, little by little. Now, the legs are interesting. So, you start off with the front of the shins, fold up the toes. Then we're going to fold up the heels underneath the mammoth feet, fold that up. Now, the back shin pieces are on a ball joint right here. Now these 5mm ports here are where we're going to put the missiles. Kind of just peg it into place. It takes a little finagling, but it does work. There we go, like so. What we're going to do is rotate things along here. This is where things get slightly tricky, but we're going to straighten up the panel here, fold that down, and kind of get that in a position. Now, we're going to use the thigh rotation, but we're going to kind of twist things so that... All right, why is it putting up a fight now? All right, so there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. Okay, so this is where I goofed up. This is where I goofed up, I think. So you see how the shins here, or the thighs here have this little tab? I believe that goes into the back. And that should stay to the back of the mammoth. Maybe that's where I did wrong. Because now, if I rotate the thigh and do it that way, now it seems to work fine. So that might be this little tab area has to stay up. I might have forgotten that. Okay, so we're going to tab these pieces in like so, and then tab that right there. Now, we're doing the same thing for the left leg, except this time we're going to do it the right way. Close that up, put in the heels, open up the back pieces, and we're going to put the missile in right about here, like so. Okay, now that the tab is in the back, we are going to rotate the shin right below the knee, bend it that way. Now, all of these shin pieces are going to tab into each other like so. Now, we get this into place. We get the side panel, tab it into there on the side, just like on the other side. There we go. Put that there. That should lock into place. Now, for the arms, they are going to tab in right here with these 5mm pegs. Da-dunt. Da-dunt. We're going to take the little gun. There's some 5mm ports right here underneath the mammoth fur. There we go. Get that ready. Now that we have the mammoth head, this 5mm port is going to peg right into there, right above my thumb. And this is the point where we shore things up. Get that there. Put the hind quarters down. There we go. There we go. Things are forming up. Up. There we go. The head is in position. And here we have Big Convoy in his mammoth mode. And I gotta say, this is a pretty easy transformation, or at least, all right. Yeah, no, it is an easy transformation. This isn't bad. You really do get used to it. And that whole thing with the legs, if you just get those thighs reversed, it messes the whole thing up, like I just demonstrated. Learn from my mistakes, people. Learn from my mistakes. Make sure those thigh tabs are in the back and not the front. But I will say this. Transforming this guy is a heck of a lot easier than transforming the original Big Convoy. Much as I love the original Big Convoy, I do not enjoy transforming him, mainly because of all the panels. But this is a solid beast mode. I mean, he's a brick. He's pretty much a brick. All that robot kibble is right down there. You can't miss it. But you got like a nice brick of a beast mode, and where this one lacks all of the gimmicks that the original had, like the spring-loaded trunk, the spring-loaded tusks, he doesn't have any of that. He does have some articulation. The trunk does hinge this way, and this way, so you got a few points of articulation. Also, the front paws can move. Forget the rear paws, the rear legs, they do nothing. The tail swivels up and down, and you got some wiggling on the ears. Yeah, I mean, as mammoths go, it's not that bad, especially when you compare them to, like, let's say the original Big Convoy, of course. There you have the gradient on original Big Convoy is good. The fur texture is different from this one, where this one has more of matted fur. The original one has more like flowing hair. And they're just, just different sculpting, different style. I could see Hasbro doing at least one repaint, whether it's Nemesis Prime or Ultra Magnus, or I suppose it could be Blue Big Convoy. That's it. I mean, the only other thing you can really do with the beast mode is, turn the cannon around and do the big cannon, spider walker thing. Of course, you can take the tusks off, and you get some 5mm ports, right? Or no, 5mm pegs, not ports, right there. So you could probably do some stuff there for that, maybe some weapons or whatever. Or I suppose if you really want to lean into the spider tank gimmick. Anyway, let's move on to some comparisons. This video has going on long enough. I mean, I wanted to get this done before March. Heck, I wanted to try and get this done before February. That never happened. I'm just going to do the comparisons with my final thoughts since, you know, I took a lot of pictures and I grabbed a lot of these figures out of storage for this video. So let's just do them both at the same time. Lio Convoy's got a premium paint deco, and the anime-style lion head is a vast improvement over the legacy Lio Prime. The transformation is mostly satisfying and is an overall solid figure. My issues with the toy, however, are the lack of weapon accessories, the poorly engineered shoulder-mounted weapons, or lack thereof, and the hinge for the robot head is too loose and can make transformation a hassle at times. As far as Big Convoy is concerned, well, it's a solid and sturdy boss bot. He's fun to pose, the transformation is manageable, and everything locks in well. He's got a lot of accessories, and his overall barbarian look is such a vibe. What I find lacking about the figure is the absence of the maximal spark crystal. I firmly believe that he should have opening and closing hands, his big cannon isn't blast effect compatible, and, well, alright, he's a little short. But that's it. That's been my look at Gen Select's Lio Convoy and the Age of the Prime's Big Convoy. This video took a little bit longer than I needed, but I still had a lot of fun with it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope if you have these figures, I hope you're enjoying them too. And please, you know, like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. You know all that jazz. But more importantly, I'd like to hear what you thought about the toys in the comment section. All right, well, that's it. I'm out. Thanks for watching. I'm JimClassic. You have been watching Geekin', and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.